Hi. So, the thing about past lives is that they're only as real and as meaningful as we allow them to be. Hi, I'm Fran Gallagher. I am an intuition coach and consultant, and I'm your guide to relationships, meditation, and intuition. So, if you don't believe that past lives are possible, that they aren't a thing, then you don't need to listen any further. If you're curious about past lives, if you are quite certain about past lives, then please let's continue. So, I experienced past lives at first because I began experimenting with sleeping a lot, actually varying my amount of sleep, and dreaming. So I read a lot about sleep research way back long ago, and I discovered that at that time anyway, there were um, sleep cycles that lasted about 3 hours. So I experimented with sleeping 3 hours at a time, 6 hours at a time, nine, and then 12. And what I discovered was that when I slept 12 hours or even a little bit more, and I was sleep deprived because I stayed up really late every night. I was a kid, a young teenager. Stayed up late every night and then would have to get up early, and I would catch up on sleep on the weekend. And I had these incredibly vivid, detailed, accurate dreams that seemed to me to be about past lives. In one of them, I was a 6-year-old girl, and my brother and I were the children of a man who owned a livery stable at the turn of the century and at the turn of the 20th century, so from the 1800s into the 1900s. And he was converting part of the livery stable to automobiles, which were a new thing. And our job, me and my brother, was to run around the town and try to find any scraps of paper or any scraps of cloth that we could plug into holes in the wooden walls of the barn. So these holes would usually be knot holes or some kind of gap between the boards. And to me, I never heard of that. I never knew about that. That was a whole different detail than ever I had heard of. And so one day, after running around town, it was a small town, gathering scraps, I went home. I went up the stairs. I went down a hall, and I entered a bedroom. And I don't know what happened in that bedroom, but I knew that I died, and I woke up from the dream. Another one of my past life dreams was where I was a 13-year-old boy in the Civil War. I was in a family in the South. We were Confederates, and I hung out under the table a lot when I was a child, so that I wouldn't be noticed, but I could listen in on conversations. And my brothers were considerably older than I was. In the war, they turned out to be gun runners. And at age 13, I wanted to prove myself and join them. And we took a team of horses and a wagon, and we went to intercept the train and steal guns, and instead it was an ambush, and I was shot in the gut. Uh, they laid me out in a field outside of a hospital, and there was nothing they could do for me back then, and I died. So these are not glamorous dreams. I remember, or glamorous lifetimes. I remember when I was a kid, a lot of people complained about the idea of past lives saying everybody's a Napoleon. I've never been Napoleon, I have to admit. I've had rather, I've experienced lives where I only reached a modest station in life. I got a little bit older, and my brother and I discovered a book called Past Life Regression. And so we used to do regressions on one another. Then I ended up teaching friends that, and so friends and I did past life regressions. And over again, these past lives seemed real, detailed, like something I could not have made up. And they informed me about the human experience. They often informed me about my own life, and they were useful to me. I feel that I understand some of my shyness comes from when I think about the lifetime where my brother and I weren't, I don't recall that we were educated when we ran around collecting scraps. Uh, I don't believe I was very educated or encouraged to be outgoing in the lifetime in the Civil War. And there aren't too many of the lifetimes I've had where I was encouraged to be outgoing. Uh, might be another conversation about why I'm on here and outgoing in this way. So, what about for you? What could you learn? What kind of experiences might you have if you even opened your mind to the possibility of past lives? Okay, now there's another possibility, and it could be that there is something called the collective consciousness. Sometimes it's referred to in a different aspect, collective unconscious. And it could be that there is a way that human experience is shared and can be received by the rest of us so that we can all benefit from various aspects of the human experience without necessarily having them ourselves. This idea would take away the arguable aspect that is reincarnation or past lives, and instead would just say that there is a possibility that we can share human experience, that we don't have to live everything ourselves, and we can experience the lived experience of others. So, would this be useful to you? I would argue that it could be, that you could round out your understanding of humans and your own experience in life by understanding the experiences of others. You might also benefit others by, in this collective consciousness way, sharing aspects of your life so that others can benefit. I guess the main thing, though, is it's exciting and it's fun to experiment with our own consciousness. What can we learn? What can we experience? How can we access aspects of experience that aren't directly accessible to us? Sorry about the noise. So, the thing about past lives for me is that they are real, they are meaningful, and they are valuable. And I hope you'll entertain that notion yourself sometime. So thank you for joining me. Be safe in all things that you do, and know that you are on a spiritual path. It is unfolding, and it has its own intelligence. You're on your way.